Okay, so you've clicked on a video about vacation rental insurance, and for that act alone, you get a gold star. Most people would probably scroll right past this seemingly boring topic, but not you. You are a rock star that wants to learn as much as they can about the vacation rental industry, and you understand that insurance is an integral part of owning an investment property. But if the topic of insurance is overwhelming, fear not, because today we're going to hit you with the basics.
What's up, everyone? I'm Steven.
And I'm Kylie, and welcome to our channel. Steven and I are vacation rental hosts and property managers. We are a resource for hosts like you, and today we are going to be covering what we like to call Vacation Rental Insurance 101. Now, before you skip away thinking that you already know everything there is to know about vacation rental insurance, hear me out for a sec. Over the past few years and all of the clients that we've onboarded into our management portfolio, over 70% of them were not holding the correct insurance. 70%. Can you believe that?
Part of the reason is that up until recently, many insurance companies didn't really have the systems in place to cover short-term rentals and confusing short-term rentals with long-term rentals. Because of that, there was a lot of misinformation, sometimes from the insurance companies themselves, where their representatives simply didn't know any better about the coverages that they offered.
Also, partly to blame is the widely misunderstood voice guarantee or AirCover from Airbnb and other third-party booking platforms, which I'm sorry to break it to you, that is not insurance. And we'll go over that more at the end of this video. And then there's also the fact that talking about insurance is just not very fun. It's a little bit boring.
It isn't, but unless you've got proper coverage, you're exposing yourself and your property to a huge risk. If a guest burns your house down and you don't have the right insurance coverage, the company will probably tell you to pound sand.
What is pound sand? Is that like an Iowa thing?
I don't know. Just need to get out of here. I'm not covering you.
Okay, just a few quick housekeeping items before we get started. First, if you wouldn't mind just please hitting that like and subscribe button. It really helps a small channel like ours gain favor with the YouTube algorithm and keep providing free and valuable content to hosts like you.
Second, and speaking of liability, everything we're presenting today is for general information only. Any action you take is at your own risk. You should consult an attorney or a licensed insurance professional. We'll link ours in the description below.
With all that out of the way, let's talk about how to get you set up with the right policy. We've heard agents say, oh, you have a landlord policy that covers rentals, but long-term rentals and short-term rentals are two different beasts, and you really need to make sure that you're carrying a policy that explicitly covers short-term rentals.
In our experience, we found that these typical landlord policies do not cover short-term rentals. Many companies don't have endorsements for short-term rentals, and even if they do, you'd have to specifically ask for them. So when you get a quote, declarations page, be sure to read all the fine print to ensure you're covered. Here's a list of companies we've dealt with that we know offer short-term rental coverage.
Currently, make sure you always do your own research as well.
Yes. They are Foremost, Mercury, CBiz, American Modern, Proper, and State Farm.
Good job.
Long list. We've got a rockstar insurance agent. His name's Mike Mauger. What's up, Mike? He can help you get set up with the right coverages, especially if you're in the Southwest, but he's licensed in many states. We'll link his contact information in the description below.
Okay, ready for Vacation Rental Insurance 101? Let's start out by going over the different types of coverages that you'll see on a typical STR insurance policy. Dwelling coverage is the most common, and this is the cost that it would take to rebuild your home in the event of a total loss. For example, if your house burned down in a fire. Insurance companies typically have a basic formula that's based on the square footage of your house, but you can work with your insurance agent to adjust that if needed, if you feel like there's certain features of your home that would be more expensive or costly to rebuild.
Then there's other structures coverage. This is something that would cover the cost to replace like a pool or a casita or some kind of living space feature that's not part of the main house. And you can work with your insurance agent to adjust this coverage amount to specific features of your property.
Household furnishings coverage is pretty self-explanatory, but what's important to note here is that you really should have a good understanding of the value of what is inside of your STR. The example coverage that we're showing here is for a 4-bedroom, 3.5-bathroom home, and we did all of the interior design and furnishing of this property, so we kept detailed records of all of the purchases, and the homeowner was able to use that amount to determine proper coverage.
Loss of use coverage is one that many insurance agents might quickly gloss over. For a vacation rental, this may be important because there may be an event where you're no longer able to generate income, aka loss of use.
Can you give an example of why somebody might have to use their loss of use coverage?
Well, so if there was a fire, for example, and the house is a complete loss, It's going to take 12 to 18 months to rebuild your house, and that's a significant loss of income that your property could be generating during that time. This coverage should step in and supplement that loss of income while you're going through the rebuilding process.
Your highest coverage amount is going to be the per occurrence premises liability. And this section is essential for both homeowners and property managers to protect yourself from a guest liability claim. While the likelihood of a big liability claim is low, adding on that $1 million protection policy is really not a huge added cost to your standard STR insurance policy. And it's just good peace of mind knowing that you would be protected in the event of this sort of situation. If you are a property manager, you also need to make sure that you are explicitly listed as additional insured on your client's policy. Or sometimes this might be worded as liability extended to others. This is true for companies like Mercury, for example.
Medical payments to others coverage is meant to cover a situation where a guest has some kind of injury and asks you, the owner, the manager, to cover some medical bills. We usually keep this coverage pretty low, don't pay for extra coverage, because we have that $1 million liability coverage that Kylie just mentioned, where that would kick in if there's some substantial liability issue with the property. This coverage is standard, included with most policies, and we just keep it at the minimum level of $1,000.
Again, this is what we were advised to do by our insurance agent. Please consult yours for your specific property needs. So all of the items that we just discussed are ones that are specific to short-term vacation rental policies. There are some other standard coverages that are included in every homeowner policy. So that's all pretty standard across the board, and we're not going to go over that today.
One last point is deductibles. You should consider your insurance policy to be something that helps you rest easy at night and not something where you're going to be making claims all the time. If you do, your rates are going to go up or your insurance company might not cover you anymore.
If something small is broken with the guest, don't go to your insurance company for that.
Yeah, you're just going to have to accept, and we've come to accept, that we would have to settle some claims of a few $1,000s or less ourselves without involving the insurance company, and just save that coverage for the potential of some big event.
The big stuff.
Yeah.
Your agent should be able to help you decide on a deductible amount, but we usually go anywhere from $2,500 to $5,000.
So this doesn't mean that you'll have to come out of pocket for costs less than your deductible in every situation. The ideal scenario is that you've taken a booking through your own website, collected a security deposit, and you manage those funds. And if there was a damage or some kind of incident, you can withhold money from that security deposit. If the booking was through a third-party platform like Airbnb or Vrbo, you could choose to deal with that platform's resolution center or their host protection policy. The frustrating part with those platform policies is most of the time it's a sort of he said, she said thing between the guest and the host, and the platform acts as a mediator. They decide who they're going to side with, and the frustrating part is we find that many times they side with the guest.
In our experience, these claims were before AirCover, so to be fully transparent, we have not yet tried to settle a small damages incident with a guest through AirCover. Hopefully we will never have to do that, but it's most likely that we will, and if and when we do, we'll be sure to share our experience with you. Since these third-party host protection programs are always changing and evolving, it doesn't really make sense for us to go over specifics about what would be covered and what would not be covered in a video like this. But that isn't the point of this video anyways. The point of this video is to point out the fact that most hosts are not carrying proper insurance for their short-term rental. And if you still don't believe us that you should have your own insurance policy, go and look at some of these third-party platform host protection. Go look at their liability and exclusions section of the fine print, and maybe that will change your mind.
Hopefully you're also getting a direct booking site up and running. You're definitely going to have the need for proper coverage when you take direct bookings.
So go pull up your insurance policy, make sure that you are explicitly covered for short-term rentals, and if not, please get that updated ASAP.
Well, hopefully you've learned something today, and if you have a topic you'd like us to cover in the future, let us know in the comments. See you in the next video.